Okay. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good to see you. We've never met before. I've seen you perform before. It's different.
I met you when you were in drag last time I was on the show.
Well, no, that was Joan Rivers. You thought I was made up?
No, I'm joking.
Yeah. You know, you are kind of contradictory yourself. You were quoted, I think, in the Rolling Stone interview, which I read, saying that you weren't in drag, and yet when you went on the Grammys, was it the Grammy Awards you walked out and said something like about, well, it's time they recognized a real drag queen? Now, what was that about?
Well, one of the things about the music industry, which is pretty sad, is that they've got no sense of humour.
Yeah.
In England, you can make a comment like that and it gets taken with a pinch of salt. I think in America, because people are not used to me, they were very worried about what I said. I mean, it was meant as a joke. And I just found the whole affair very formal and everybody congratulating each other, having a sort of wonderful time, you know, very rock and roll. And it was my way of sort of injecting some humour into the event, you know.
Everybody kind of takes themselves seriously on those award shows, right?
I think everybody does. I mean, I've been doing all these radio interviews today, and they've just got no humour, you know.
Jim McCauley told me, he said, now, you talked with him, and you said, gee, I've been answering these dumb questions from disc jockeys all over Los Angeles. What are the dumb questions? What are the dumb questions you don't like, so I'll try to avoid them? The obvious question, obviously the first question they got to ask you is, why do you dress this way? Now, you've been asked that a million times.
I've answered that a million times, so I will avoid that.
All right.
But basically things like how long does it take to do your makeup, you know.
Right.
And just boring things about my childhood, which was just the same as anybody else's, really. Pretty dull, pretty boring, you know.
Yeah.
Sort of Father Christmas, you know, Grey's knees, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you can't blame him, can you, Boy George, for asking those kind of questions? Because you are rather controversial. It's something new that...
But after, like, 3 years of seeing me, you'd think that people were a bit used to me by now, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, in a country that has Liberace, I'm hardly revolutionary, am I? You know?
Yeah, that's true. Now, I'm trying not to be square, you see. Now, I come from the middle of the United States, a state called Nebraska, which is right out in the middle of the country, rather conservative. Now, if I was your dad, and you came home one day, and I didn't know it and walked in, and I saw you as a young man, I guess you were about 15 or 16 when you started actually wearing the makeup and the costumes, I wouldn't know how to react myself. I think I would be adult enough to try to handle it, but...
Well, what have you got to handle?
Well, the effect that you walk in and you see your son dressing with makeup on,
well, you know, you're gonna have
the average person.
Okay, you're going to have Halloween in a couple of weeks, you know.
That's
What's the difference between somebody dressing up on Halloween? It's only because people think it's serious, they get frightened.
Right.
They look at me and say, well, it's not a Halloween party, so you have to have a reason to dress up. There's nothing wrong with being different. I mean,
that's right.
You know, why do you have to have an excuse to enjoy yourself? I mean, you know, there's people out there taking drugs, you know, killing each other, fighting.
Right.
You know, and like, I just don't see that you have to wait once a year, Christmas or Halloween, to enjoy yourself. I think it's all a load of rubbish. I think that there's, you know, nothing wrong with enjoying yourself and dressing up.
I think you're right. I think what you said before, though...
I mean, look at Joan Rivers. She comes on here every day, the most outrageous creations. You know, no one bats an eyelid.
People are probably uncomfortable with things they don't quite understand or something that's different from that, and they get uptight about it.
Yeah, but you see, I don't really know that there is anything to understand. I think a lot of people in the music industry in particular analyse everything. Journalists always want to analyse.
Right.
And you know, like, when you give an interview, I mean, with certain newspapers, that half of the things you say won't actually get printed. It's all, you know...
I saw that interview you did with Joan Rivers, and you said you really dislike the press intensely.
I don't dislike them. I just think that there's a very sad side to the press. You know, the side that prints pictures of Elizabeth Taylor crying at Burton's graveside. I find that very disturbing. I think there is a funny side, like, which has me bitching with Princess Margaret. That's all good fun. Yeah. But, you know... but, you know, that's set up. It's something which we all get involved in, you know, as entertainers. But there is a side which is very boring, you know, which can be quite scandalous and quite damaging to your career, you know.
Didn't you find it easier, I would guess, having spent quite a little time in London from year to year, that over there they're more used to seeing people a little bit different in the music scene than they are here, and you're much more acceptable quickly than you would be here?
Well, you got Dolly Parton, and Liberace. I mean, the thing is, I suppose it's just that, you know, you get used to certain things. I mean, Dolly Parton would be quite outrageous in England, you know. People really freak out when she comes to England, you know. You know. People...
Yeah, she has great hands.
Yeah, people... I think, you know, and there's, you know, sometimes when I watch the news in America, they talk about, like, punks roaming the streets. Right. England is really conservative. It's the same as America. There's no difference. You know, there are more eccentric people in the music industry. Right. But then there's enough in the industry in America. I think people have got a very bad impression of England, you know. Yeah. That, you know, they all dress up, you know, and everybody walks around. I mean, you get the same hassles in England as you do in America if you're eccentric. It's no different.
Do you think you would have had, now, you talk about the press, do you think if you would have stayed as you were before you started wearing the costumes and the makeup, that you'd have received the attention from the press?
Obviously, the way you look is important as a performer. You know that you have to make a special effort when you go on TV, when you're making records, when you're in entertainment, But every time you turn on the TV, people look glamorous, Right. We're sold products every day by people who are supposed to be beautiful, but where are they? You never see anybody in the street looking like that. So really, the whole thing is an illusion.
Right.
But, I dressed up for 8 years before I had a hit record. And, I worked as a milliner, as a printer. I had no illusions of being a pop star.
Right.
It's just luck, really.
It's all in the timing.
Exactly. I never really thought about it until now, really, last 3 years.
Okay, that just means we have to take a break for a second. We'll be right back. Stay where you are. If you just joined us, you've got a lot of... This happens about every place you play, doesn't it? You get a lot of fans out here who dress up.
I pay them.
Now, come on, you don't get it. Do you like that?
Well, it's...
The emulation of dressing up and...
I actually don't like being sort of grabbed at and screamed at. I like people enjoying themselves. When you play live, it's good. People come along and they sort of go mad, and have a good time. I like that, but I think if you're in the street, and it's nice to talk to fans if you meet them,
Right.
It's much better if they don't scream at you, you can just sort of talk like a normal person.
You said in one of the interviews that people have two reactions to you. Either they go, "Ugh," or they're very nice and they like you. Is that
well, I think
basically true?
I think that, as a sort of star, you sort of... People are really sort of, full on with you. Like at the airport when I arrived, this guy sort of came up and said, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" And I said, can you lower your voice to a scream,
Yeah.
And I heard him saying, he went away and said, he's really horrible, because I wouldn't do exactly what he wanted me to.
Right.
People do, you like public property, people...
They want a piece of it, sure.
Well, they feel like they sort of got a right to say anything too,
Yeah. Do you hate it?
On the plane, when are you going to put your makeup on and stuff like that?
Do you hate it when people touch you or grab the clothes?
If people are nice about it, it's okay, and you can be grabbed in a certain way, which is quite thrilling.
Well, that's certainly true.
There are, most people are cool,
Yeah.
It just depends, It can get a bit out of hand sometimes.
If you don't want to be recognized and you went out without the makeup, and nobody would know you, would they?
I heard you saying that in the intermission, actually.
Huh?
When I went to Jamaica last year, I went without makeup and everybody recognized me.
Really?
Yeah, it's, obviously, I look better with makeup on, but people still know I am. I've got quite a big nose,
Yeah.
And sort of...
And you're larger. You're larger than people think, aren't you? You're about 6 feet.
About 6 foot. But people sort of, stars, they just sort of create an aura around themselves. People, you're so used to being looked at that you go around sort of paranoia, sort of, who's looking, And it's just one of the things about famous people. You always get attracted, always attract attention.
Yeah. Somebody told me you used to mimic other singers.
Sometimes.
Who'd you do? Who did you do?
Oh, lots of different people.
Shirley Bassey was one of them, I think.
No, not doing
that. Was it? Come on, that's what they told me.
I like crooning. I'm a crooner,
Yeah?
I like to croon.
Can you croon in the style of any of the other people that you used to do?
Yeah, I can.
Would you? Would you?
Okay. It depends. I like singing jazz songs. It depends if you know any of the ones I know. Maybe Frank Sinatra song.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love me.
Where did you get the name Culture Club? Didn't you work with a group called Bow Wow Wow?
I did, yeah, for a while. And also I had several other names before we started Culture Club. We were called the Sex Gang Children.
That's right. Didn't you lease that name out to some other group?
Yeah, we did actually.
Yeah,
we had, when our drummer came, John Moss, when he came and joined the band, he didn't like that. He refused to work under that name. And gradually, we had like different cultures coming into the band. We had a black bass player, Jewish drummer.
Right.
I was Irish. Roy was very English. It just seemed like a fitting name, Culture Club.
Yeah,
culture.
And it works.
And also because the music was very sort of mixed. It was very plagiaristic, So.
Yeah. Now, you said before you were one time had all kinds of jobs where you had absolutely no money. Now, obviously, you're making a lot of money.
Yep.
Which is good. You have to pay a lot of taxes in England, though, don't you?
That's terrible.
Yeah, isn't that rather...
Well, yeah,
tough?
But, what can you do? As long as you're making enough money to eat, it's okay.
Yeah.
I think if the Labour government got in, I wouldn't have any money at all.
Yeah.
At the moment, we're taxed like ridiculous, about sort of 99% almost.
What did you go out and buy when you first got some money?
A bar of soap. No, I'm not.
Things were that
very,
bad, huh?
No, I'm not really materialistic at all. I mean, I haven't got a mansion or anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't really. I suppose, in a way, I know what it's like to have no money, and I don't really want to go out and spend loads of money until I know that I'm going to be sort of well off for a long time.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you're just 22 years old now, right?
Yeah, and, you know, I've got a long way ahead of me, and I could sort of run out, you know. I mean, the music business is very fickle, you know, you've got to be really careful.
This style, I mean, this kind of acceptance right now might change, say, in 3 or 4 years, and it goes another direction. Could you get up and go whatever direction it is and say, hey, I'm going to go a whole new route?
Well, I think as long as you can sing, you know, in any style, you know. I mean, you have to adapt. There are a lot of people who make music who simply can't adapt to what's happening, you know. I think I could adapt, but I don't know if I want to do music in 10 years' time. You know, I want to write songs. I'm working on some stuff for the Beach Boys at the moment, actually.
Right.
And I'm going to be writing songs for other people. I just want to really prove myself as a songwriter, you know, because at the moment people look at me and say, yeah, you know, it's a bit of a freak. But I want to sort of prove my quality as a songwriter, because we do write good songs.
Does that bother you when people come up and say, oh, freak? What do you answer to them? What do you say? Just ignore it?
Depends what they say, you know. I've always got a line, you know, but it depends what they say, you know.
How are you accepted walking down the street here? Do you...
I don't walk down the street.
Really? See, here you wouldn't be noticed.
I don't think so.
You could walk down, you could... Believe me, you go up Sunset Boulevard and you wouldn't even get another look, George.
I don't think so. I went there yesterday and I got pretty much bothered.
Yeah?
I went to buy some photos of Judy Garland and I got bothered quite a lot.
Yeah. You're going out on tour for what, a 4-week tour here?
Yeah, I go out for about 4 weeks, you know.
Yeah. Where's the rest of the group tonight?
Yeah, they're all having a hot bath.
With the bar soap you bought, huh? Good. All right. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.